I hit rock bottom. And I'm not ashamed to admit it, because it is what I needed to experience in order to become the man I needed to become. But first, let me rewind a little bit. 5 years ago, I completely left my career behind. And so did my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, but we were both commercial actors living in Los Angeles. Those of you who've been following me for a while know that I had a YouTube channel called Joycam, which was conscious comedy, etc., blah, blah, blah. I knew in 2013 that I needed to leave my career behind, but it took me 5 years after that to actually make the move. It took, well, the support of my partner, her belief in me, to give me the courage I needed to actually take the leap. Because before that, I knew I wanted to leave, but I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So in 2018, we sold all of our stuff. We bought a travel trailer and we left Los Angeles and our careers altogether. We were pursuing financial freedom. First, we went to Las Vegas, where we studied and trained under a friend of ours who is really good at real estate investing, wholesaling, and fix and flip. We love the concept because it's all voluntary and everybody wins, and everybody wins based on the terms that you agree on. So we got into that. We thought this will be our way to make money. We actually were pretty successful at it, all things considered. We didn't know what we were doing or had never dealt with real estate before, but his method was great. We ended up in Spokane, Washington, which I still can't believe since Spokane was barely on my radar before we moved there. We did well, but we also knew that it wasn't going to be the thing that we ended up doing long term because, well, one, I didn't enjoy the experience at all. It was actually really stressful, and I'm not very good at building things or fixing things. So when it comes to remodeling a house, I had to outsource every single task, and that just doesn't make much sense. So in 2020, everything hit the fan. For everyone, really. I mean, it was a really strange year, let's face it. And going into 2020, I had been performing and emceeing at conferences and events all over the world. But because of what happened in the early part of 2020, the opportunity to MC events went to pretty much zero. So I created an online course called Parrhesia, the Art of Communication. Parrhesia, the word, means to speak freely or boldly. And I created this course to help people who are going to have a hard time explaining their points of view and their opinions and their stances during the pandemic. I could see it from the beginning. I knew as soon as the pandemic hit that it was going to increase and further the divide. And of course, as we all know, divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. So I wanted to help people with that division. So I wanted to help people be able to represent themselves well and their opinions in a way that wouldn't get them fired or divorced. And simultaneous to that, we got pregnant. In fact, we found out that we were pregnant literally like 2 weeks before the COVID stuff all hit the fan in March. So while everything in the world was getting weirder and weirder, my wife was getting more and more pregnant. And in October 2020, our first son was born. Shortly after that, I made the worst financial mistake of my life. We ended up buying a property in Idaho, and we definitely put the cart before the horse. We ignored all the red flags and we went for it because we wanted it to work. We were in Spokane, which is like 20 miles away from the Idaho border, and we wanted to have acreage, on land, rural property, septic, well water, all of that. And we found this property that was a fixer-upper in North Idaho. And it ended up being a black hole for our finances. What started off as a 6-week remodel turned into a 9-month remodel. And I became very stressed out. I had a new baby, a new business, and a property that was literally a black hole for our savings. In addition, while we were waiting for our house to be done, we were living in a friend's ADU where we had no kitchen. We had a bathroom and it was one room, but we had no kitchen. We just had a sink and a hot plate. And we got pregnant again. And admittedly, it was a surprise pregnancy. And I stopped sleeping. And And that's when I hit rock bottom. And the good news is, I have a tenacious spirit, and I refuse to let it defeat me. I had no option, really, because I had a baby and another one on the way, and I had to step up to the plate. And I made the decision one morning that enough was enough. I cannot live this way. I am better than this. I can pick myself up by the bootstraps. I can figure out how to solve this problem and stop being a whining, complaining, stressed out, anxious guy. And then an amazing thing happened. I started exploring the most exciting rabbit hole of all, the truth about success in life, the truth about how to live a good life. And this started making me feel better. I became absolutely obsessed. I stopped listening to any podcast or watching any videos that I used to watch. I took myself completely out of the rabbit hole and essentially brainwashed myself into a success mindset. I started studying what it takes to have an impact in this world, going as far back as ancient Greece and Confucius, all the way up until now, 21st century entrepreneurs. Coming from a conspiracy guy background, I have developed the skill of pattern recognition. And Tony Robbins said that if you recognize patterns, you have an edge. That got me excited. So as I studied and immersed myself in stories of success, I looked for the patterns. And again, I was obsessed. So I started making notes. I started jotting things down and finding the patterns. What were they all saying? And one of the first things I noticed was that anybody who has ever had any success will tell you exactly how they did it. I used to think the secrets to life and the secrets to living a good life and to being extraordinary and being successful and having a lot of money were kept secret from us, but I was wrong. They're available and they're everywhere, all around us, but you have to choose to seek it out. The keys are there if you are ready to pick them up and utilize them. School doesn't teach this stuff. It is what it is. But you can go to the library for free and literally learn everything you need to know about becoming successful and living a good life. So in addition to this, I was teaching my Parrhesia class and working with hundreds of people on their communication skills. And when I created the program, I felt like it needed to be a 3-tier structure. 1 was just the course, 2 was the course plus a workshop, and 3 was the course, a workshop, and one-on-one time with me. And the workshop ended up being where the real magic occurred. And I learned, or validated rather, because I had a good feeling that I would be good at this going in, but what I learned and really validated to myself was that I'm really good at working with people and identifying where the blocks are and the obstacles and the blind spots. And I was able to help people not only with their communication, but feel better about themselves and get excited about their lives again. And through doing that course, Parrhesia, for 3 years, I identified a much deeper problem, much deeper than an inability to communicate with confidence or with clarity. It was a general lack of fulfillment in people's lives. It became very clear to me that awake and aware people have a tendency to be rather cynical and jaded, and they can become so overwhelmed by their awareness of the problems in the world, they plateau in their own progress and growth in life. It also leads to bad habits of resentment and blame, outsourcing responsibility. And what I really learned in those years working with people through Parrhesia was that this is the trap of all traps. In my 20s and 30s, I was certain I had avoided the traps of my blue-pilled friends and family. I was thinking for myself. I wasn't downloading my opinions from the mainstream media or just trusting official narratives hook, line, and sinker. Yet, when I reflected on my journey, I realized that I was suffering from the same victim consciousness as many of my blue-pilled friends and family. I was guilty of overdosing on red pills and black pills, and as we all know, pill addictions have consequences. I had been deferring accountability and responsibility in my own life because they were up to no good. And I got lost along the way as well. I lost direction in life. I was making cool videos with Joy Camp. I was writing good poetry. I was traveling. I was inspiring people. I was contributing in a positive way. But I had lost momentum towards building a future and really having a good life. Since the tentacles of control corrupt every facet of reality, what was the point of participating, really? I realized that I'd been unconsciously deciding not to take constructive action in my life. I was living with no real purpose. I wasn't contributing to the best of my ability. And where did that leave me? Worried, depressed, angry, blaming. And in 2021, it led me to not being able to sleep. Ironically, it left me awake. Wide awake. And like I said at the beginning of this video, looking back now, that moment, that clarity, that worry, that rock bottom moment was the best thing that could have possibly happened to me because it got me to get my SHIT together. And with this newfound clarity and focus and determination, I was honest with myself and I thought, I don't want to just help people with their communication anymore. I want to help them with the underlying problem that I've been observing now since I started Parrhesia, and that is unfulfillment. I want to help people climb out of the rabbit hole and get their lives back on track because this world needs you. By becoming excellent in life, your influence increases and your concern with what other people think about you decreases. When you're feeling confident, when you're feeling enthusiastic, when you're focused on the pursuit of a goal, the trivial, petty conversations you're worried about become less significant, they become less important, and naturally, your communication will improve. It will go along for the ride. As you grow, your communication will naturally improve. And this is where things got really exciting because I became determined like never before. I want to help people find purpose by living with purpose. I set out to answer the question, why do some people so effortlessly seem to be able to glide from one achievement to the next? Now, granted, I was self-reliant before I created the self-reliant way. Before I had focus, I still was living by some of these principles. I just didn't have as much intention with it. I mean, I decided I wanted to be a poet, and I became a poet. I decided I wanted to be invited to speak at conferences around the world with poetry, and I did. I decided to create a YouTube channel with my friends called Joy Camp where we could make conscious comedy, and I did it. I became friends with all of my heroes in my 20s. I did that. So I've already have evidence to suggest I was doing something right, that I was self-reliant in a really positive way. And now, by applying these new frameworks of success to my life, the results have been amazing. And now I want to help you with the same thing. My insomnia and worry at this point are long gone. I actually only feel excited about life and the future in spite of all the craziness that is always going on in the world. I'm feeling good about where I'm at and what's in store and what the future holds. The property, our failed investment, is out of our lives now, and that feels so good. I lost so much money on this property, in this property, investing in this property, but it's all okay. It's all okay, because I also realized that if my life came down to that one mistake, if my entire financial journey in life came down to that one mistake, I was doing something wrong. I learned some hard lessons about investing, about ignoring red flags, putting the cart before the horse, etc. They were very tough lessons to learn, but again, it's only made me stronger. I'm also completely detoxed of all the red pills and the black pills. And that doesn't mean I have cognitive dissonance now. No, I've spent the majority of 2 decades down the rabbit hole. I get it. There is some shady stuff going on. There are some questionable agendas. There is manipulation and coercion and a lot of other questionable things, bad things going on in the world. I get it. But I think for myself. And that's the best thing I got from the rabbit hole. Learning how to think for myself and critically think and apply discernment. Yes, there are people who do bad things in the world. Yes, those people don't have your best interest at heart. But if you're complacent and apathetic, if you don't see the point in anything, if all feels hopeless, if there is a they have you right where they want you. Your best defense is, was, and always will be to become self-reliant. Book a call with me if you think this might be a good fit for you. If you're ready to spit out the pills, get your life back on track, and start living with purpose and power again, my program might be just what you need. Now, this is just for men. So women, I'm sorry. But if you know somebody, if your husband or your son or your cousin or your brother, if there's a man in your life who you think might benefit from learning how to become self-reliant, if there's someone in your life who is struggling with cynicism, apathy, jadedness, if they're just stuck in a rut, you can book a call with me as well to see if it's a good fit for them. My purpose right now in life is to be the best father and husband I can be. I got to raise these boys. I got to bring my boys up into manhood and teach them how to be good men. And along the way, I want to help other men as well. Book a call with me today if you're ready to live the self-reliant way. See you next time.